Hi, this is Scott. I really appreciate our sponsors because they make the show possible. Today's show is sponsored by Developer Express. Become a UI superhero with DevExpress controls and libraries. Deliver elegant .NET solutions that address customer needs today. By leveraging your existing knowledge, you can build next-generation touch-enabled solutions for tomorrow. You can download your free 30-day trial at dx.hanselminutes.com. That's dx.hanselminutes.com. Hi, this is Scott Hanselman. This is another episode of Hansel Minutes, and today I'm talking with Rian Buckley. She is the co-founder and CEO at FitCode. This is a company that helps women of all shapes and sizes shop with confidence using technology to make it happen. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Scott?
I'm very well. Thanks for chatting with me today. You've got an interesting product here, and it seems like it's going to disrupt an industry that I don't think is particularly technologically savvy. I don't think of the fashion industry as being at the forefront of tech.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. It's an interesting place to be in this beautiful fashion tech space. And what we're trying to do is just bring technology to an industry that could really use it. So, we've all heard about where retail is at right now. And our goal is to make the whole process of online shopping easier and more transparent and more successful for customers and the retailers. So it's a really exciting time to be in the space.
When I think of the technology that I have used in retail, it's, I used to work at a company called 800.com and we sold DVDs. So it's the same shopping cart we've been using for 15 years, the log out process. We have things like Stripe, but for the most part, we scroll through pictures, some of which are nice pictures, some of which are not. We pick products, we try them out. And the most innovation I've seen is, Zappos lets you return the shoes that don't fit. But there's not a lot going on. In fact, the only really interesting technology that I saw was at Amazon, where you could spin the model 360 degrees and see what the outfit looks like. But it sounds like you think that there's a bigger problem, and that's the fit of the clothing.
Yeah, I think there are two big problems. One, it's that people want to shop online and we're not making that easy for customers. There's obviously the fit problem too, but first things first, it's, as a customer, you go onto a big online retailer or brand website and you see hundreds to thousands of images of denim specifically, and customers don't know where to start. So since they don't have dressing rooms and since it's all e-commerce now, they don't know what jeans to choose. And so that's where FitCode comes in. We say, hey, let's take all this noise out of the process. Take this quick quiz, and then we're going to narrow all this down for you and make it easier. From there, we of course focus on the fit, and that's the biggest issue right now is really getting these brands to make jeans that fit their customer base.
Is this primarily focused on women? Because as a man, I would very much like a 33, 34 pair of jeans, and I can't really find them in the store. Like they're either too big or they're too tight.
Absolutely. So right now we just do women's denim, but we're actually going to be launching with men's this fall. So we're super excited to do that. So
really?
Yeah. So be on the lookout. We will reach out and get you those size 33 jeans.
Okay. See, that's pretty cool. I like that. It would even be cooler if I could, take a selfie and you could figure out what my shape is and fill the quiz out for me.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Interestingly enough, Scott, when we were doing a bunch of this beta research, when we were first founding this project, is that we realized that we started with women and we realized that while they need a technical solution because we need to be able to integrate on these e-commerce sites, they don't want a really technical product. And I think that goes for men and women's. Yeah. So, think about when you're shopping online. Most people are doing it while doing another activity. They're, watching, for me, it's watching Real Housewives, whatever you're watching. And you just want to sign on real quick, find the jeans that fit, and then get back to your daily, activities.
Interesting. Okay. So you go and ask these questions and they're pretty straightforward. And it's not complicated. It's 10 seconds. My wife went through it in 10 seconds, came up with a fit code. She has a number now, not a measurement, but a number that's 710. And encapsulated within that number is a lot of things, more than just your inseam and your waist.
Absolutely. So the fit codes are arbitrary 3-digit numbers that represent a body shape. So within the fit code, there can be a whole range of sizes. And then, of course, there are all the genes that map to that fit code. So we know all the measurements. We standardize them across brands. So we know how, one brand fits against another because we all know how it is. You can be, a size 28 in one gene and a size 29 in another brand, and you just don't know what size to buy. So all of that data lives under the fit code.
Okay. So I've got this number, and then what do I do with it? Do I go over to search for that number, or does it know my profile and now it only shows me things that are the right fit?
Yeah, so it knows your profile, and when you press shop now after getting your fit code, you'll see that, on a website like Joe's Jeans, who just integrated with us a couple weeks ago, you'll see that we actually do what we call badging. And so your fit code 710 icon is going to pop up on any of the gene images that are going to fit you. So now when you're, searching through all of these product images, we make it really clear. We say, hey, here are the ones that are going to fit. And then once you open it, we tell you what size to buy in it. But for us, we really come from a space of wanting to focus on fit, not size. So first things first, we have to make sure this gene flatters your body type, and then we can tell you what size to buy in it.
Okay, interesting. So Joe's Jeans is a partner. You are not Joe's Jeans. You're FitCode. But then they integrate with you?
Exactly.
Okay. So then I take that code over there, and now that I know that, it's almost like my sleep number.
That's I haven't heard that, but that is an awesome way to think about it.
Right. Like the sleep number bed, that's become part of the ethos. We all know what that is. Now the FitCode will become that as well.
Yeah, that's our goal. We want people to someday wonder how they ever shopped without FitCode. How did you shop without someone coming in and telling you, hey, here are the products to buy, and this is the size to buy it in?
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about technology. You've got this number and there's, I don't know how many combinations there are. I'm looking at your quiz there. There are probably hundreds of combinations.
There are quite a few, yes.
Yeah. So then you come up with this number, and your technology looks like it's JavaScript inside of the fitcode.com. How do I, if I'm a reseller of jeans, or if I'm a fashion brand and I want to make sure that people with fit codes can come and find the right pants, how do I integrate?
Yeah, so our big thing is we want to make it really easy for these brands. So we know they have other businesses to attend to, and we want to make this technology integration super, super easy. So we just do JavaScript. We integrate straight on their front end, and then we control everything from there. So if you're on a Joe's Jeans website, what you do is you'll see a little button that says take your fit quiz, and then you can take the fit code quiz right on the Joe's Jeans website. And then you press shop now, and that whole experience is now personalized for you.
Oh, okay. So they don't even have to as Joe's Jeans doesn't have to implement anything. They're getting your quiz and that number built in automatically on their website.
Exactly. And you don't have to go to fitcode.com. So our whole thing is we want to leave the customers right on our partner websites. We don't want to pull them away for anything. We just want the customer to be able to stay right on the Joe's Jeans site and shop successfully right there.
That's interesting. Now, as someone who has a company that you're promoting and that you're talking about, though, doesn't, by allowing them to integrate like that, doesn't that downplay the FitCode site? Or are you trying to do that and you really want to make it about the brand that the person likes?
Yeah, we really want to make it about the brand. So when I first started FitCode, we had fitcode.com, and that's really where we gathered our information. It was where we tested, and it's where we tried new things and, were able to see if they worked or not. So fitcode.com is a place where customers can still go and you can shop across all sorts of brands. But we started realizing that, the world doesn't need another marketplace. What they need is they need the experiences where they're comfortable, which is on a brand or retail website, just to be easier. So if we could figure out a way to do that, we could be successful, and that's why we switched to JavaScript.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So before you were doing something other than JavaScript?
Yeah, when we first started, we actually did a plugin, so a browser plugin. So the whole idea was that you could take your FitCode shopping wherever you went. And again, we just realized that was a bit too technical and we didn't need to do that. So let's just integrate right onto the partner website. Let's make it seamless. And that's been successful for us so far.
Interesting. Okay. So while we're talking, I went over to joesjeans.com, which is one of the partner websites, and went looking, and there's a badge. It looks like a black circle with a stylized F and a C, and it says 710, which is the code number that my wife got. And it says here, perfect fit found. This style has been fit tested and approved for fit code 710. How are you measuring these? When I think of jeans, again, I think of waist and I think of inseam. Are you I don't know, finding 7-10 people and they all go try the pants on, or how is there something more technical behind it?
Yeah, there's definitely more technical answers behind that. But the big thing is our founding principle that you can have a bunch of women who wear the exact same size and they can be totally different body shapes. So what we do to make sure that, we're telling your wife that that's the right Joe's jeans for her is that we actually fit test all the jeans. So our partners send us their entire inventory. We have them in our office. It's awesome. We call it the denim cave because we just have hundreds and hundreds of jeans. But what we do is we bring in women all of the same size, but all different body shapes. And they try on every single pair of jeans. So we can see how that jean is going to fit across all body shapes. We then marry that to a beautiful technical process where we have all the measurements that are standardized and we know how these things are going to map to fit codes. And then that's how we spit out the recommendations for our customers.
I see. And the fit code is the secret sauce that I can know that if I have that number, then I'm going to get a pair of pants that fit me.
Exactly.
So you're talking about jeans right now, but it seems like this could scale to other things like, shirts. I always have that trouble where if you've ever seen someone like a man wearing a shirt and you say, that's a medium, right?
Absolutely.
Or I'm in that awkward, like I need a medium that's not a large because a large is a poncho and a medium for me is this medium. This fit code could go to other clothing, couldn't it? Not just jeans.
Yeah, it absolutely could. So we're going to men's denim next just because that's what we've tested and we have built out. But then we have other apparel already built into the algorithm. So we can go there next year.
Very cool. Okay. So what is the back end? I understand, and this is a coincidence, by the way. I tend to work at Microsoft, but I understand that you have some Microsoft tools in the back end as well.
Yeah, so we collect a lot of data. And so we need to have pretty powerful tools to be able to look at that data and figure out what to do with it. So the biggest piece about the FitCode data is we want to make sure everything's very actionable. So we're collecting data not only from our customers, but from our partner sites. So we know how customers are engaging in it, how they're converting, which is our biggest success metric. And then we need to be able to serve all this back to our partners in an actionable and insightful way.
Yeah. So you've got thousands of users, thousands of jeans, thousands of measurements, and you're going to have to go and put all of that in the back end and manage all that data. That's
exactly
cool. Now I'm looking at your LinkedIn and it looks like you've been the CEO of FitCode for 3 years, but you were, or I assume that are you still a working model? It looks like you worked as a model for at least 8 years.
Yeah, I am still a working model. I'm taking less jobs now as this company has gotten busier and busier, but I still do shoot here and there.
Maybe very, very briefly, you could explain that term working model, because I have friends that are working models that do, like I have a great friend who does Amazon shots so that when you look on Amazon and you see the clothing, that's my friend. And, but that's different than runway work. That's different than, print work, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was your friend for a few years. I shot Amazon when they were still located in Seattle. Their photo studio was based, in Seattle. Now it's not, but I shot for them, Monday through Friday of most weeks. And so a working model, when we say that, it means that you're usually doing commercial work. So you're doing work for all these e-commerce companies, for years. And one of the reasons why I started FitCode was I was those two legs you saw on Nordstrom.com. So all of those jeans, I was shooting them. Yeah. So I got this really unique behind the scenes experience and, view of what's going wrong here. What people are seeing in these e-commerce photos and what the companies are trying to sell, they're just not lining up. So that's why, I founded FitCode. But back to the working model piece, it really just means that, it's our way, it's our bread and butter. It's our way of taking home money. And we don't just, do runways here and there. It really is our full-time job.
Interesting. Okay. But it sounds like you have at least an understanding and an acknowledgement that the kind of prototypical model shape isn't necessarily the shape of regular people. And that is shown on fitcode.com. You have normal looking people of all sizes, both thin and not so thin. Yeah,
this is something that I'm pretty passionate about. So the main reason I founded FitCode was because I would be at these shoots and I was a size 27 and they'd have one other size 27 girl and they would try the jeans on us and whoever they fit, they would shoot in them. And I started realizing that, we have to look beyond size. And this is it right here is that you can have two girls the same size and the jeans look completely different on each of them. So how do we just take the size question out of the equation and how do we just look at a woman's body shape and say, hey, we're not here to judge anything. Size is just size. It's just a number. We don't care. Let's look at your body shape. Let's figure out what jeans are going to really fit you and really flatter you.
Okay. So then I assume that there was some point where you had that aha moment, right? You're at I don't know, you're at Chili's afterwards after a long day of shooting, and you're sitting there with a napkin, and you're like, I think I have an idea here. I'm going to make an index number that's not like a big number doesn't mean a big person. I'm going to make a whole new way to size things. Was there a napkin? Were you there with a partner coming up with this idea?
Yeah, there were mini napkins. So I think anyone that's created a product knows that it's never just one napkin. One napkin sets you on that path, but then you have so many iterations of your product. And there was the aha moment for me. And for me, it was a little different. It was, not that I knew that we needed this product, because I knew we needed it. I knew this was a problem, and I knew I had a very unique place to solve it from. But it was really that fear of, hey, if I don't do this, someone else is going to. And I'm passionate about solving for women. And so if I can be a woman solving for women, I understand the product. I understand all the things that go into denim and go into making denim look good. So I think I'm in a unique place to solve this. And, I didn't want to miss out on that.
Are you a technical co-founder or a non-technical founder?
I'm a non-technical co-founder. So both my co-founder and I did not come from a technology background. One of the first people I brought on, our board member, was technical, and he really helped me build out that technology side of our business, which is most of our business at this point.
And has that been something where you have to decide how technical you want to be, or do you have to consciously say, all right, I understand how this JavaScript works, but that's as far as I need to go because I'm going to focus on CEO stuff and not CTO stuff?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting place. And I think anyone who's been the CEO or leadership in a company knows the difference between working on the business and working in the business. And I work in the business just enough to make sure that we are going the direction that I know we need to go. But I'm a big, big fan of letting experts be experts. And I didn't bring on my developers so that I could micromanage them, because I'm not qualified to do that. The people who I bring on in this company are people who I trust, and I trust that they're going to get the job done and get it done really well. And, if I was there trying to tell them what to do, then they're going to try to do it one way and they don't get to use their creativity. So I, am really pretty hands off with my team, and I let them be creative and try to figure out the most agile and creative solutions to these problems.
So you express the vision and they can present to you, like you say, we could do it with a plugin, we could do it with JavaScript, we could do it in a backend integration. And then how do you make a decision about which of those things to do? Because you could have integrated a lot of this in a backend as web APIs.
Yeah, absolutely. I come from the business and the consumer point of view. So when they present me with all these issues, or different, solutions, I always say, hey, let's bring it back to the customer. What does the customer want to use? I'm the consumer. Am I going to use this? If the answer is no, then let's pivot. Let's go to a different direction. And then the other thing that I really think of is, what is the marketplace calling for? So I'm the one that's out talking to these brands. I'm talking to these retailers, and I have to listen to what their pain points are. And so I bring that back to the team and I say, hey, this solution you have is really technical and it's really, really cool, but it's not needed right now. So let's table it. Let's put it in the back burner, and let's get these partners what they need right now and what their pain points are.
How far along were you before you started looking for investment? Did you have a minimally viable product, an MVP, or did you have the whole thing ready to go?
It was really just an idea that I had when I went out and got investment. So, we needed investment in order to build a product at all, because it was technical. And so I had to get investment basically from day 2. So I talked to a lot of people about this idea. It was an interesting road for me because it was a very, very clear problem. So people could understand the problem not only from the business perspective, but it's personal for them. Whether you're a man or a woman, you understand how hard shopping online can be. And you get that, we can make this easier. So for me, all I had to do is say, hey, this is a very, very big problem. Returns account for billions of dollars each year for retail companies. And, we also understand how it is to be a consumer and how hard it is to shop online.
That is an interesting point. I mean, some people may be halfway into this podcast and wondering, like, why does this matter? Maybe they're not interested in fashion, or they're not interested in pants. I am, but they might. But now you just kind of crystallized it for me. Returns, right? You're buying a $80 pair of jeans or a $30 pair of jeans, and $6 to $8 of that may be shipping it. And if I have to ship it back, then a human has to open the box and deal with the box and make sure that the jeans are still sellable or appropriate. And if you have to throw those away, then you're losing money because all that money comes out of the profit for X number of other jeans. So it sounds like returns are the problem that you're solving here, as well as conversion.
Yeah. So the first thing we do is we want people to be comfortable shopping online. So we have to look at those conversion rates. Does this product work to get people to purchase? And then from there, of course, are they returning less? So going into this, we know that women, specifically shopping for denim online, return over 50% of the jeans that they purchase. Mm-hmm. So how do we cut into that?
Seriously?
Over 50%.
50%?
Yes.
Oh, that's really bad. I've heard nightmare stories. I was actually at a party recently where someone was telling me how their spouse abused Zappos. And I felt really bad for Zappos. I was like, they buy 12 pairs of shoes and they send 10 back. I mean, that's really not cool.
No, it's really bad. But this is what these companies have to do in order to compete. So they have to offer these free returns and they have to, basically be a try-on service. It's what they've turned into. And so, just like your friend and her shoes, it's the same thing with denim. People will buy 4 pairs and return 3 and just, keep the one that fits. So how do we cut into that? How do we get women to only buy 2 and know that those 2 are going to fit? And that's where FitCode comes in.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you're keeping metrics because you're saying that consumers are 3 to 4 times more likely to convert once they've got this fit code, they've internalized it, and they start shopping with that code rather than with their measurements.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our biggest thing. So our partners want to sell more jeans. And so if we can get, their customers to buy more jeans, that's the number one thing. And so the number one thing we report on is conversions. Mm-hmm. So just like you said, we've seen that with FitCode, their customers are shopping at 3 to 4 times the rate. So a conversion rate in e-commerce, a standard conversion rate is 2%, meaning that 2% of people who go to a website like Nordstrom are going to actually purchase something. So how do we get that higher? Well, FitCode does. So if we have a 3 to 4 times multiplier, that means they're shopping anywhere from 6 to 8% instead of 2%. And that's big dollars for these companies.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were a working model for 8 years plus, continue to be. You're a CEO now, but with all due respect, and I say this as someone who is not familiar with how modeling works, I think of modeling as being a singular thing. It's an individual thing. You're in the show if you're, for example, a walking model or a runway model rather, or if you are part of a campaign, you're not giving creative feedback on the campaign, I assume. But when you're a CEO, you're flipping that. You're in charge. You make the statements. You make the vision. How does 8 years of modeling experience as a singular individual translate into CEO type work?
I think it was 8 years of being frustrated that I was hearing a problem that I knew I could solve and wasn't being asked to help. Oh. And that was a really, really powerful place for me to come from. So, you talk to models and the one thing you'll hear over and over is that, we're just considered a clothes hanger. And at the end of the day, we are. And that's fine.
Oh, wow.
Like that's the job we got into and you get paid for it.
I don't think it is fine, actually.
Well, it's not fine, but that's
doesn't sound fine.
You're not mistreated, but you're also not valued for your problem solving ability because that's not why they hired you. Right. They hired you to make clothes look good. Right. And so for 8 years, I listened to this problem and I looked and I'd listened to the retailers who are offset complaining about return rates and complaining about the state of the industry. And so for me, while modeling, certainly wasn't business school, it was this really, really beautiful lesson. And here's a problem that has dollars tied to it. I have a solution. And going into being a CEO from being a model, it was the coolest place because for years I had been criticized and critiqued on things I couldn't control, which was things, like how you look and what your appearance is. And suddenly as a CEO, I could say, hey, anything that's, going wrong in this product, I can change. I have the ability to change. And it was awesome. And it still is awesome to say, anything that I'm being criticized for now is just on the product. And that means I'm not doing a good enough job listening to my customers or to my partners and all of those things I can change. So it's very, very empowering.
Mm-hmm. Where else did you pull your leadership kind of inspiration from? Because there's your experience as a model, which gives you the problem space, the understanding of the problem space. If I understand correctly, when I did research on you, were you in fact an NCAA athlete as well?
I was. I swam for the University of Washington. I was a varsity athlete there. And I think I got a lot of leadership from sports as well. So I was an athlete my entire life. I've never shied away from hard work, which I think is really important as a CEO and also as a CEO of a startup. But I value dedication, I value commitment, and I'm not afraid of little pain and having to grind. And that's what athletics taught me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting point you bring up. So people talk about, and there's a lot of discussion about this on Twitter, about the startup lifestyle. And, if you don't put 110%, don't even bother showing up. And the idea of work-life balance and whether or not, the grind is an appropriate thing. I'm assuming when you go and do startup lifestyle, you eat, live, breathe your company. But personal stuff also happens that can throw you for a loop in the middle of it and really change your perspective and your priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first year I think that FitCode was live, I not only got married, but my mom also passed away from breast cancer. And it was this really tough time, but it was also a moment of clarity for me where, you read about and you hear from other founders about how stressful and how hard startup life can be because it just has an immense amount of pressure. But I did that in tandem with taking care of my sick mom. And I realized that every single stress I felt during working hours, that was a privilege because that's not real stress. That's a stress that's not happening to you. You've chosen it, right? I chose to be a founder. I chose to be the CEO of a startup. So therefore, I can't complain about these hours. I can't complain about the stress because these are choices. What was happening to my mom was not a choice, and that's real stress. So having that perspective going into being a CEO of a startup was just invaluable for me. And, I think about it almost every day as, hey, don't complain. You chose this. Anything that's happening right now, these are choices. And this is a really, really fun process and you have to embrace it.
That is a really interesting balance to find between the stresses that you chose, the stresses you did not, the privileges that you have, the privileges that you don't, and trying to be, not necessarily responsible for everything that happens to you, but accountable for the things that happen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also just the perspective and understanding that that's never going to end. So, going back to funding, you can get millions of dollars in funding and think that that's going to end your stress, but that just means that you're scaling your business. And with that comes more stress and more problems. So it's really about...
Well, and you have to pay that money back too.
Exactly. That's something, again, that I'm passionate about is investment is debt. And, anyone that I hear that's going through different investment phases, I always remind them of that. Don't get addicted to the cash. This is debt. Be cash flow positive. Get addicted to the drive to be cash flow positive because that's where your power comes from. Don't forget that investment is still debt. So those stresses, all that kind of thing, it's just about perspective and realizing that they're always going to be there. You just have to learn to mitigate them and learn how to appreciate them.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to be an armchair quarterback and a person on Twitter saying, oh, wow, Rian got $3 million in funding. She's probably driving a fancy car now. But wait a second. You have a dozen people working for you or more now. You have 100,000 users. I don't think that you just get like a big pile of gold coins, right? When you get your money. No,
absolutely not. And especially as, founder, we all have choices of, what salaries look like. And I've said all along that, I pay my employees first. So they, I have to pay them salaries because I have to keep them engaged and keep them committed. And while they love the project and they love the product, I have to support them and they all have families that they have to support. So I really come last when it comes to that. So anyone that thinks you can found a startup and in your first few years, be bringing home a lot of money, you're delusional because you're not. Hopefully the payoff is there in the end. But again, for me, it's never been about the money. It's been about making this experience better for customers. And if we do that, maybe there will be a payoff. But if not, then it has been an awesome, awesome ride.
Well, yeah, I certainly hope that you are successful in doing that. It's got to be overwhelming, though, to have this idea and have actually, let me back up. Let me ask you this. It's been 3 years now since you founded the company. Are you where you thought you'd be at 3 years, or did you know that this would be a multi-year long and not multi-month long ride?
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. I didn't know.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. I didn't know what to think. I didn't go to business school. I had never done this before. I also didn't do a lot of extensive reading on startups going into this. And I did that purposefully because just like I do with my team, I wanted to have the creativity to solve this problem the right way and not be constrained by the way other people have done things. So I had no idea where I should be at this point. If if I could go back, I think I'd be really, really proud of where we are now. We're becoming a nationally recognized brand, which is awesome. We have incoming PR, which is awesome. We're integrating with some of the biggest denim brands in the country. So I don't think I could have dreamed that we would be where we are today, if not only because of the success we've had, but also the direction we've gone. So we have pivoted so many times because, like I said, we constantly are listening to what customers and partners need. So I couldn't have predicted that we'd be integrating right on partner websites using JavaScript and going to men's so soon. And then also just having this abundance of data that is really valuable for these partners. So I couldn't predict any of those things.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize that now that you're developing this data, the bigger that database and the more valuable that algorithm has, that will not only affect existing inventory of jeans, but potentially new manufacturing of clothing.
Absolutely. So this has been a byproduct of FitCode, which again, I didn't predict, but has been awesome, is that we suddenly have this customer data that these brands have never seen before. So if you think about the way that a denim brand makes jeans, they have a fit model come in. She's, maybe 5'9", a size 27, and they make all their jeans off this one model. And so suddenly we can go to these brands and we say, hey, since we've integrated on your site, we now know by body shape exactly who your customer base is. We can break that down by percentage. So we know that 33% is this shape and another 20% is this shape. Let's start making your jeans to actually fit your customer. And we hold fit sessions with our partners where we bring real women in their real customer base body shape in, and they get to try those jeans on in the design process now. So we can say, hey, this jean's working, this jean's not. Let's increase your rise here or decrease the back rise here. And let's really make sure that we're aligning your denim for your customer base.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that demographic data in that way. This is data that really is going to improve people's lives. It's anonymized data. You don't have to worry about privacy concerns because it's really just a demographics of these are the people that are buying these jeans and you should make more of those. That's a fantastic bit of insight.
Exactly. It has just been awesome to be able to consult with our partners on that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Rian Buckley, the FitCode co-founder and CEO.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's been a pleasure.
This has been another episode of Hansel Minutes, and we'll see you again next week.